DEI is not DEI. It is not diversity, equity, and inclusion. It is code word for essentially a Marxist worldview of power structures.
It's not every day that I get to show off my Marty O'Donnell autograph on the Halo Trilogy score from Video Games Live. Thank you, Tommy Tallarico, for this gem. I'm going to need to frame this after today's video because Marty O'Donnell is not just a composer for one of the greatest series in gaming history, but he's also now a legend for speaking his mind and completely obliterating the entire narrative from the woke agenda. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. And I just finished watching this interview, and I gotta be honest, like, sometimes interviews can be pretty dry. Sometimes they can just drag on and you're like, all right, look at you, watch what's going on here. This is boring. This was one of the most interesting, insightful, engaging, and revealing interviews, peeling the curtain back behind the scenes to take a look at not just the video game industry, but entertainment in general and what's happening, how it's getting destroyed from the inside out because of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. The illusion that we want to have the best intentions out there and have representation for marginalized voices and all these other buzzwords you keep hearing about. But in reality, it's a scam, and it's being exposed right here in this interview for exactly what it is. If you didn't think Sweet Baby Inc. was a mafia before, after watching this interview, it will change your mind. Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out SmashJT.com for the full article breaking down this very insightful interview from the Andrew Says podcast. Marty O'Donnell, the legendary composer from Halo, shared some critical perspective on the current state of the video game industry. And the Nose Ring Mafia is not going to like this. He did not hold any punches. He let it all out. And he even talked about how, because he's basically at retirement age, he's got nothing to lose. So he's just going to speak his mind on the turmoil, the downward spiral that the video game industry has entered and cannot get out of. He talked about how it didn't really exist back when he was working at Bungie and how this whole DEI thing was starting to slowly creep in, and talked about a few different reasons as to how and why, but it never went full force and blunt force trauma to the head on all these people. They still had the ability to have the artistic visions back then that let them make the game that they wanted to make.
The current go woke, go broke. We just keep seeing that happen over and over again. When DEI is not DEI. It is not diversity, equity, and inclusion. It is code word for essentially a Marxist worldview of power structures. And there's so many catchwords that are being injected into the conversation: colonization, decolonization, all of these kinds of things. It is so far from what, especially in the entertainment business, what people should be worried about. Are you going to tell a good story? Are you going to make a good game? Are you going to do something that's compelling emotionally for people, that's fun for people? That's what creators should be concerned about.
And I love hearing that, how he says everything that I've been talking about, and many other people as well, YouTubers calling this to the forefront of what DEI actually is. It's a sham. It's hiding Marxist viewpoints behind the scenes in order to push an agenda and extort money from game companies that are too scared to get canceled.
It wasn't because we needed to make sure there was a certain percentage of, fill in the blank. It was never any part of what our discussions were about. That is just such a creatively dampening way of approaching things.
You don't want to be on the wrong side of these special interest groups because they will cancel you. He talks about it time and time again.
When I was on the board of directors, let's say at Bungie, when I, talked to the higher ups at Microsoft, there is a lot of fear, and the fear started creeping in. There is fear that you are going to essentially get on the wrong side of some special interest groups who can be very loud and very annoying. So let's placate those people.
The whole mafia-style insurance agency would hate to see something happen to you. If you pay us some money, we can protect you to make sure, that you don't get canceled because we're here for the good of you.
You have to understand that, especially in the big companies, the C-suite and the executives, they are just constantly, all they're doing is looking at the bottom line. And if they think something could affect the bottom line, I honestly think a lot of these people are empty suits. They don't actually have core values.
It's almost like a virus that's infiltrated corporate, not just America, but corporate worldview. How a lot of people have been promoted to positions that they weren't really ready for. And they got in over their head and potentially caving to what investors were demanding instead of doing what's right. Because the investors saw that, okay, if we can guarantee that this game doesn't get canceled by these people, that it will ensure profits for us in the long run. And in real life, these people that are running these game companies are not gamers. They don't care about the end product. They don't care about what efforts go into it. They don't care about anything about the game. They care about the money that they get from selling the game. The industry has turned into, instead of excitement and having fun with the games, well, Nintendo still focuses on that. There are game companies out there that would prefer to place profits over gameplay. And because of that, they start making decisions based off of what's going to make them the most money.
So they adopt the core values of the moment to make sure they're on the right side so they don't get any sort of backlash.
And before Sweet Baby Inc. came to the forefront as a potential mafia-style scam fraud that's been run to make sure that these game companies are being extorted for money so that they don't get canceled by this woke mob, there was potential for some success with the games. And even if they failed, they'd raise their ESG scores and they'd still get investment money from BlackRock and Vanguard. So it still worked either way.
Maybe you know the story, but one of our main characters, the Arbiter, was not the Arbiter. During the whole time we were making Halo 2, the character's name was, he was called the Dervish. And we had recorded all the voice. I had directed all the actors, and everybody was using the term dervish. And then we found out that, like, this could be seen as an insult because there is a Islamic religious figure known as dervishes, and so we had to change it. We were forced to change that name.
That Arbiter story is a fascinating look as to how things happen behind the scenes at the game industry. And we don't want to offend people. We don't want to do something that could get our game canceled or have a huge boycott because we used a name from a religion and that offended that religion. And I guess, to be honest, full disclosure here, I could see needing to be sensitive to certain things to make sure that you don't do something really stupid and get canceled, but it's gone to exponential points where it used to be a couple things you just navigate through, and it's turned into this woke mob that is just making sure that anything you say is offensive. And because of that, they will cancel you unless you involve them and they ensure their customers that, no, don't worry. We took a look at it, and yes, we could see how that's offensive to you, but don't worry because it's not offensive to us, so you shouldn't be offended either.
If you're a creative working in AAA, which I did for many, many years, put this stuff up to your higher-ups, and if they don't see the value in what you're asking for when you ask for consultants, when you ask for research, go have a coffee with your marketing team and just terrify them with the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want.
The fact that Marty saw this coming speaks volumes for the direction of the game industry, because this was a couple decades ago when this Halo Arbiter stuff started happening. And he saw it back then, slowly creeping in, and he didn't like it. He even says that, makes it readily apparent in this video, that he wasn't having it. They still wanted to have their artistic vision realized.
To a different name. So we came up with the Arbiter. I was never really happy about it. I thought, this is an artistic choice. This is what we had from the beginning. We were not making trying to make any sort of political or religious comment. We had tons of religious imagery, the Ark, Halo, the covenant, all these things are sort of religious, imbued with religious, terminology. So I didn't see why the dervish was a problem, but we were forced to change that. So I could see that there were going to be, the bigger the product, the more fingers would be in the pie trying to mess with things.
The prevalence of woke culture in today's society can largely be attributed to the influence of DEI injection consultation firms like Sweet Baby Inc., among a slew of others, which have capitalized on the fear of offending vocal special interest groups. These firms have transformed the concept of being offended into a lucrative business model, using fear as a form of extortion to ensure that their services are sought after. It's actually a really genius marketing technique from their perspective. It's the easiest gig in the world. Hey, pay us money and we'll make sure that this woke mafia won't cancel you. We're buddies. We're tight-knit with all these game journals out there, and we'll make sure they'll give a good review to your game, or they won't try to slander it or boycott it or say anything that's offensive about it, because we can tell them, hey, you paid us some money and now we're good with it. So everyone in video games media is good with it as well, so we're all good. It's the easiest money-making scheme ever, except for one thing. It's destroying the entire industry from within. This is everything wrong with the direction of the video game industry and the entertainment industry in general. By leveraging the potential backlash from perceived insensitivity, they pressure companies into adopting extensive DEI policies, often prioritizing appeasement over genuine creative and operational excellence. This has turned the mere idea of causing offense into a significant financial and social concern for many organizations, or, a legalized modern-day mafia, as I've been calling them for quite a while now, because that's exactly what this racket is. It boils down to extortion, creating a problem and then existing to fix the problem that you created yourself. But don't worry, white guys are always safe to destroy.
Oh, well, and by the way, you can always, if your plot line deals with an evil white person or an evil corporation, you're fine. That is evil white guys, especially men, and evil corporations, no problem. You will never get pushback on that.
The whole interview is a banger, and I highly recommend you guys check it out. I know I put a lot of clips in this one from it, but I couldn't include everything because at that point, it would just be the whole interview. I strongly advise checking it out. I will link it in the description below with the Smash JT article. I'm going to leave it there, but before I go, if you guys appreciate what I'm doing and you haven't yet, consider hitting that join button and supporting my cause for fixing the major issues going on right now in the video game industry. Thank you so much to everyone who already has. And if you want more information, like I said, check out smashjt.com. The link is in the description. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, you stay smashing.
I don't know who, the thought police that's happening in today's world is completely insane right now, in my opinion.
Smash